I ran out of time on my last video, so I will do a second one. I have been thinking this evening about the people who are involved in this thing that's happening in this country right now. My last video on my page, I talked about the law firms that are capitulating to Donald Trump and my feelings about that. And in this video, another group of people that I've been thinking about are ICE agents. Who get up every day and do their job now in April 2025 in the United States of America. Waking up every morning, putting on your plain clothes, you and your buddies going out in your little vans, putting on your masks so that nobody can see your face, putting on your masks, and without a warrant, abducting, for example, young college-age women off of the street, sneaking up on them, sneaking up behind them with your masked buddies, scaring the absolute shit out of them, abducting them, and putting them into a van. And in April of 2025, there are several things that you know now about that. You know that you don't have a warrant. You know that she is not going to be able to get a hold of her attorney. You know that her attorney doesn't know where she is and hasn't been notified of where she is. You know that her attorney is not going to be able to get a hold of her. You know that her family doesn't know where she is and that her family has no way to get a hold of her. And you also know that if she's lucky, she will only be transported from somewhere in the Northeast to a federal holding facility in Louisiana, and that she won't be deported to an ungodly, brutal torture prison in El Salvador, like so many of these young men have been. You know all of those things. You know that she is going to have no due process, even though you know that she has a legal right to due process and to a hearing, because judges have ordered that now. You know that as of April 3rd, 2025. You know now that the people you are picking up are not going to have access to their attorney. Their attorney's not going to have access to them. They are not going to be able to notify their family. Their family is not going to know where they are. And if it's a young man, they're going to be shipped to a fucking torture prison in El Salvador where they will just disappear. You know all of those things now as an ICE agent. And you get up every day and you continue to do this job. You now know in the first week of April in 2025 that one of the men that you abducted off of the street and put on a plane and sent to El Salvador and put into this prison is a father from Maryland who's married to a United States citizen, whose children are United States citizens, who is here legally and has been here legally for more than a decade and had been granted special protection from a federal judge from being deported to El Salvador because gangs in El Salvador were trying to kill him, and that's why he fled El Salvador and came to the United States. And you sent him back to a prison full of gang members from those gangs who were trying to kill him the last time he was there. Is that guy still alive? Is that guy still alive? He's been there for what, a month? Do you think he's still alive? Can you imagine what he has endured over the last month? Because you guys picked him up because he was wearing a red Chicago Bulls hoodie, and because a confidential informant told you that he was a member of MS-13, the very gang in El Salvador that had been trying to kill him. And you sent him to a prison that is populated almost exclusively with members of that gang. Do you think that father and husband is still alive? And you know now, on April 3rd, 2025, that you also picked up an innocent gay Venezuelan hairdresser named Andre, because he had a couple tattoos on his arm. And you sent him to that same prison because you said he is a member of a violent Venezuelan street gang. Have you seen a photograph of this young man? He is very clearly not a member of a violent Venezuelan street gang. Do you think he's still alive? If he is still alive, can you even fathom what he has endured for the last month as a young gay man in that prison? And you will get up tomorrow and you will go do your job again, and you will go put on your little mask and your plain clothes, and you and your buddies will abduct more people off the street, and you will send them to the same place, knowing that some of them are innocent, knowing that none of them will get due process or a hearing, knowing that none of them will have access to their attorney, none of their attorneys will have access to them, none of them will have access to their families, and none of their families will know where they are or if they are still alive. And you will get up and do that job again tomorrow as an ICE agent. And you also know that one young man that you picked up and sent to that El Salvadoran prison, you did so because of a tattoo that he had. And that tattoo was an autism awareness tattoo that he had on his forearm that he got for his autistic little brother. And you picked up him and put him in that same prison full of violent MS-13 gang members. And tomorrow you will get up and do your job, and you will look at your face in the mirror before you go do that job, before you put on your mask and your plain clothes and abduct other people off of the street, knowing that they are going to have none of the protections that are afforded to them as a matter of law, knowing full well that many of them are going to be sent to a violent gulag torture camp in El Salvador, whether they're innocent or not. And we won't know that right now because they're not getting any due process. And you will keep doing that job as an ICE agent. How the fuck do you look at yourself in the morning? Because you can't claim ignorance anymore. You know exactly what you are doing every day. You know exactly now what is happening to these people. And it's like I've been sitting here like trying to figure out, you know, what kind of person does that in the United States of America in 2025. We have a Constitution, we have a Bill of Rights, we have federal law, we have international law. All of those things are being ignored by this administration and by the agency that you work for. All of those things are being ignored by you personally. You know that the people that you pick up off of the street, you know now in April 2025 that many of them are being tortured, they're being beaten, they're being abused. We don't even know if the ones I've spoken about in this video are still alive. You don't know. You know there's a real possibility that they're dead. You know there's a real possibility that they have endured the worst things that you can possibly imagine. And you get up and do this job again and again and again and again, day after day after day after day. Please explain to me how you are not a Nazi. Have a good day at work tomorrow, officer.